5 signs you're dealing with a human demon. Have you ever met someone who drained the very life out of you without lifting a hand? Someone who walked into a room, and suddenly the atmosphere felt heavy, almost suffocating. Perhaps you've known people who smiled to your face, yet their presence left you feeling smaller, weaker, and doubtful of your own worth. These are not people who carry light within them. They are not here to lift you higher, but to pull you down into the shadows. Some call them toxic, others call them manipulators. But let us be clear tonight, sometimes, you are not just dealing with a difficult person. You are dealing with what I call a human demon. Now, don't misunderstand me. I am not talking about red horns and fiery tails. I am talking about people who wear the mask of humanity, but walk with intentions that corrode your peace, crush your spirit, and poison your growth. They thrive not on love, but on control. They do not build, they destroy. They are not here to guide you toward light, but to drag you into darkness. The most dangerous part, they don't always come dressed as enemies. They can appear as friends, mentors, even family. They can be the ones you trust most. That is why you must learn to recognize the signs. Because if you don't, you will keep opening doors to people who are meant to lock you in cages of fear and insecurity. So today, I will share with you 5 undeniable signs you're dealing with a human demon. If you recognize these traits, don't negotiate. Don't explain. Don't wait. Protect your spirit, guard your peace, and reclaim your power. Because your life is too precious to be wasted in the grip of their darkness. There are people in this world who seem to come alive only when you are broken. They are not comforted by your joy, nor are they inspired by your victories. Instead, they secretly savor the moments when life knocks you down. To them, your pain is fuel. Your weakness is their strength, and your tears are the quiet celebration of their hidden victory. When you're hurting, they suddenly become attentive, not to heal you but to study you, to understand the cracks in your heart, so they can widen them when the time is right. They ask questions that sound caring, but behind their words is a satisfaction that you are struggling. When you rise, they grow silent, but when you fall, they become strangely present. They will never clap when you win, but they will watch closely when you lose. These are the ones who give subtle comments that make your wounds feel deeper, remarks that make you question your worth even more. Instead of soothing your hurt, they magnify it, either by comparison, criticism, or cruel jokes dressed in casual tones. They are never short of words when it comes to reminding you of your failures, but they are speechless when it comes to celebrating your progress. The truth is, their spirit feeds on negativity, because they lack the ability to generate light within themselves. Your sadness becomes their playground, your brokenness their comfort zone. The danger of such people is not only in what they say, but also in the silence they keep. When you are going through darkness, they will withhold encouragement. When you are desperate for hope, they will offer none. Their silence is not ignorance, it is intentional. It is their way of letting you drown while they watch from a safe distance, feeling stronger because you are gasping for air. Recognizing this sign is crucial, because no one deserves to be surrounded by those who only thrive when they see you in misery. Their presence is poison, and the longer you allow them to linger, the deeper they root themselves in your life. They are not friends, they are not supporters, they are shadows masquerading as companions, waiting for every stumble, every scar, every cry, to remind themselves that they have power over your emotions. One of the most dangerous abilities of a human demon is their power to twist the truth until it no longer resembles reality. They can take a clear situation and bend it in such a way that you start to doubt your own memory, your own perception, even your own sanity. These individuals are masters of distortion. They know how to add just enough lies to make a story believable and just enough truth to keep you hooked. They understand that if they can confuse your mind, they can control your life. And once they gain that control, it is only a matter of time before you find yourself trapped in a web of their creation, questioning every thought you have ever had. They are skilled manipulators, and manipulation is their weapon of choice. They can look you in the eye and swear loyalty while betraying you behind your back. They can accuse you of faults that belong to them, sheathed in blame so smoothly that you end up apologizing for things you never did. They can make you believe you are the problem when in reality they are the poison. They twist conversations, rearrange details, and retell events in ways that make you look guilty and them look innocent. This constant rewriting of reality is how they weaken your confidence, erode your trust in yourself, and slowly gain control over your decisions. The worst part is how convincing they can be. To outsiders they may seem honest, charming, even trustworthy. They wear masks so well that people often believe their side of the story without question. Meanwhile you are left alone, fighting to prove a truth that keeps slipping through your fingers like sand. The more you defend yourself, the more they twist your words until you sound irrational. And when you finally fall silent from exhaustion, they take your silence as proof of their lies. Living around someone who twists the truth feels like living in a constant storm. Nothing feels stable, nothing feels secure, because every fact can be bent, every word can be redefined, every memory can be questioned. You start to lose your footing, wondering if you are overreacting, if you are imagining things, if you are the one to blame. This is exactly the outcome they desire. They want you unsure, because an unsure person is easy to control. They want you dependent, because dependency means they will always have power over you. It is not just about the lies they tell, it is about the reality they steal. When someone consistently twists the truth, they are not only deceiving you, they are reshaping your entire perspective of life. They want you to see the world through their distorted lens, where they are always right and you are always wrong. And if you allow them, they will succeed in making you doubt the very core of your identity. There are people whose presence feels like sunlight, whose words energize your heart, and whose spirit uplifts you even when you are at your lowest. But then there are others who do the exact opposite. When they walk into your life, it feels as though the room darkens. The air grows heavy, and your very soul begins to shrink. These are the ones who drain your energy. They don't need to shout, they don't need to fight, and they don't even need to argue. Simply being around them makes you feel exhausted, as though you've been carrying a burden you can't explain. Their negativity is not always loud, but it is always present, clinging to you like a shadow that refuses to leave. The way they drain you can be subtle. Sometimes it's through endless complaining, never satisfied, always focusing on what's wrong instead of what could be right. Their words become a constant stream of problems, worries and criticisms, and without realizing it, you begin to absorb that energy. You walk away from conversations with them feeling heavier, weaker, and less hopeful than before. What they transfer to you is not advice, not support, not encouragement, but weight was never meant for you to carry. Other times, the drain comes from their constant demands. They always need something: your time, your attention, your resources, your strength. They are like a well that is never filled, no matter how much you pour into it. They take without gratitude, and the more you give, the more they expect. What begins as kindness from your end quickly becomes an obligation, and you start to realize that the relationship is not about mutual support, but about them feeding off your energy to sustain themselves. Even silence with such people can be draining. They may not speak, but their presence radiates negativity. You feel on edge around them, cautious with your words, careful with your actions, as though walking on broken glass. This constant alertness is exhausting, and soon you find that even the quiet moments with them leave you more tired than a day's hard work. It is not your body that grows weary, but your spirit. The danger lies in the slow pace of this drain. It doesn't always happen overnight. It creeps in gradually, one encounter at a time, until one day you wake up and realize you are not the person you once were. The joy that used to fill your mornings has dimmed. The motivation that once pushed you forward feels distant. The peace you once carried has been replaced with a restlessness you can't quite name. All of it has been siphoned away, piece by piece, by someone who sees your energy not as something sacred, but as something to consume. And what makes them truly dangerous is that they rarely give back. Genuine connections exchange energy. You give, and you receive one. However, the flow is one way. You are the giver, they are the taker. You pour light, they offer shadow. You bring life, they bring emptiness. And the more you stay, the more they drain until you begin to mistake constant exhaustion as normal. Recognizing this sign is vital, because the human soul was not meant to live in a state of constant depletion. There are few things more dangerous than someone who cloaks hatred in the disguise of love. At first glance, their words sound tender, their gestures appear caring, and their presence feels protective. But if you look deeper, beyond the polished surface, you begin to see that their version of love is nothing more than control, manipulation, and quiet cruelty wrapped in pretty words. They say, "I love you," not as a declaration of genuine affection, but as a chain meant to bind you to them. Their love is not freedom, it is a cage. Their care is not nurturing, it is suffocation. And their protection is not safety, it is possession. This kind of person often enters your life with charm, warmth, and promises of devotion. They shower you with attention, they make you feel special, and they create the illusion that they are the one who values you more than anyone else ever could. But over time, the mask slips. The sweetness fades into criticism, the compliments turn into comparisons, and the affection becomes conditional. You start to realize that their love has requirements, that you must shrink yourself to keep them happy, that you must obey to avoid their anger, that you must sacrifice your dreams to maintain their fragile sense of control. They tell you what to wear, where to go, and who to see, all while insisting it is because they care. They correct the way you speak, the way you act, and even the way you think, but they frame it as guidance, as though they are shaping you into a better version of yourself. In reality, they are stripping away your individuality, piece by piece, until you can no longer recognize yourself in the mirror. They convince you that their restrictions are love, but true love never requires you to erase who you are. Another mask they wear is the mask of sacrifice. They remind you constantly of all they do for you, all they give up for you, all the ways they have saved you from others who would never care for you the way they do. But their sacrifices are not selfless acts, they are bargaining chips. They keep a record of every gesture, every favor, every gift, and they bring it up whenever you resist their control. In their hands, love is not a gift freely given but a debt you must repay with loyalty, obedience, and silence. Even their words of affection are twisted. They say things like, "I'm only hard on you because I love you," or, "If I didn't care, I wouldn't get so angry." These statements are not expressions of love but justifications for mistreatment. They use love as a shield to excuse cruelty, to disguise jealousy, to rationalize manipulation. And if you accept their definitions long enough, you begin to confuse pain with devotion, control with care, and possession with love. Perhaps the cruelest part of all is how they use vulnerability against you. When you open your heart, when you share your fears, when you reveal your weaknesses, they do not protect those secrets, they weaponize them. They wait for the right moment to use your own confessions as ammunition, reminding you of your flaws, throwing your insecurities back in your face, and making you believe that no one else could ever love you the way they do. This is not love, it is emotional imprisonment. What makes this disguise so dangerous is how convincing it can be. To the outside world, they may appear as the perfect partner, the devoted friend, the caring relative. They know how to perform love in public, while in private they twist it into something suffocating and destructive. And because they wear the mask so well, you may even doubt your own instincts, convincing yourself that maybe this is what love is supposed to feel like. But real love does not belittle, real love does not control. Real love does not drain the life out of you while insisting it is for your good. Real love empowers, uplifts, and frees, while disguised hatred keeps you trapped in chains made of false affection. There are people who smile when you are stagnant, but frown when you begin to rise. They feel comfortable when you are stuck in the same struggles, when you are repeating the same mistakes, when you are not daring to step outside the circle they have drawn for you. The moment you begin to grow, however, their entire demeanor changes. Suddenly, the same person who once praised you starts questioning you. The same person who once encouraged you begins to criticize you. Their comfort has always depended on your limitation, and your growth threatens to expose the truth they desperately want to hide, that their power over you was never real, it was only borrowed from your own self-doubt. A human demon fears your growth because growth means freedom. When you grow, you begin to think differently. You begin to make choices that are not rooted in fear but in vision. You begin to see beyond the narrow walls they built around you, and you realize that your life can expand far beyond their control. Growth gives you clarity, and clarity makes manipulation impossible. As long as you remain small, they can dominate you. As long as you remain dependent, they can control you. But when you begin to stretch your wings, they panic, because your flight means they can no longer hold the strings. They fear your growth because it shines a light on their insecurities. Your success reminds them of what they refuse to do for themselves. Your courage reminds them of the risks they never took. Your determination mirrors their laziness, and your victories highlight their failures. Instead of seeing your growth as an inspiration, they see it as a threat. They cannot clap for you because your rising feels like they're falling. They cannot celebrate you because your progress forces them to confront the truth they run from every day. That they are not where they could be, not because of fate, but because of fear. This fear often disguises itself in subtle ways. They may start with sarcasm, making jokes about your dreams, mocking your goals, and planting seeds of doubt in your mind. They say things like, "Are you sure that's realistic?" Or, "Don't get your hopes up too high." They dress their insecurity in the costume of concern, but their words are not meant to protect you, they are meant to hold you back. If sarcasm doesn't work, they escalate to criticism. No matter how much progress you make, they will always find something to belittle. If you achieve something big, they will downplay it as luck. If you take a step forward, they will remind you of how far you still have to go. Sometimes, their fear of your growth becomes more aggressive. They may try to sabotage your opportunities, distracting you when you need focus, discouraging you when you need courage, or even turning others against you with twisted stories. They cannot stand the thought of you stepping into your potential, so they will do whatever it takes to keep you grounded, even if it means poisoning your relationships and undermining your confidence. Their mission is not to see you fall dramatically but to keep you from rising quietly, to keep you from ever realizing how high you are capable of climbing. What makes their fear especially toxic is how they mask it with false affection. They may say they are only holding you back because they don't want you to be disappointed, because they don't want you to get hurt, because they love you too much to see you fail. But the truth is, they do not fear your failure, they fear your success. They do not fear your pain, they fear your power. They do not fear your losses, they fear your freedom. Because once you grow beyond their reach, they know you will no longer need them, no longer fear them, and no longer be controlled by them. And so they cling to you with tighter chains, trying to convince you that growth is dangerous, that ambition is selfish, that change will leave you lonely. They whisper that the people who chase big dreams always end up broken, that it's better to stay safe where you are than to risk everything for something greater. But these whispers are not wisdom. They are warnings from their own broken spirit, projected onto you because they cannot imagine a life beyond their own limits. A human demon's greatest fear is not that you will fail, but that you will succeed without them. Their deepest terror is not losing you physically, but losing their power over your mind. And so they resist your growth with everything they have, because your rising is the proof that they were never your anchor, only your chain.